Vaultex is a leading cash process management company. We look at processing cash on behalf of our shareholder banks. Anyone who banks with them on a commercial point of view normally end up in one of our cash sites, and that's processed and then credited to the customer's accounts. We're also heavily regulated and work closely with the Bank of England to ensure that the cash in society is of a good quality, limited forgeries, and they also use us to get new series of notes into society very quickly. One example of that is the new polymer notes, or plastic notes is what they're commonly known as, that are going to be introduced in September 2016. I work as a learning development manager within the HR team and responsible for training and development across the whole business, which the LMS has helped us ensure that we meet all our compliance training and making sure that our training is done in a timely manner. We started to look for a solution back a number of years ago, about 4 years ago now, because we run 24 hours a day, 6 days a week. We have a range of people, very much in a productivity operational environment. One of the challenges for us was to stay ahead of the game in terms of our training and record keeping from that perspective. Because of the 24/6 operation, we had a number of people at different times having to come in, either on the days off, outside of their normal shift patterns, to make the numbers where they should be to do some training. What the LMS has allowed us to do in terms of breaking down some of them barriers has allowed us to allow people to do their training at a time that's suitable to them, anytime throughout the day, the night, or throughout their shift. We have remote workers who can do it from home or from different locations, and in doing so it ensures that we're meeting all our compliance requirements through our shareholders, our regulators, and ensuring that we've got robust MI to support that. Prior to the system coming in, we delivered a lot of this learning face-to-face in classroom environments, which gave us a challenge. One of those challenges being how many people do we get together to make it viable whilst maintaining the productivity levels within the operational sites. So this became a major obstacle for us to try and overcome, which the LMS has allowed us to do that, and having everything in the system, allowing people to go off in 1s, 2s, 3s at a time to do their training. Prior to bringing in this LMS, Vaultex didn't have an electronic solution. Everything was done very much face-to-face training, traditional classroom training, and there was a nice Excel spreadsheet that was site-driven, which kept the record of the training. So the LMS, and introducing the LMS, has really allowed us to break down those barriers and overcome them obstacles. When we started looking for an LMS supplier, one of our criteria was looking at what that company could do for us. A number of people involved in that decision making. So we went out, did an RFP, and a number of people were selected to come and present. We had standards that we wanted to meet, but also we wanted to make sure that we were going to be this just wasn't going to be a short-term relationship. This was going to be a longer-term journey for both the supplier we took on and Vaultex. In doing so, we selected Digits because we felt at the time they were the right supplier, that they would meet all our requirements and give us the attention we deserve. We didn't want to be an insignificant player in a big company's organisation and not get that customer service that we thrive for. When we first launched the LMS, one of the benefits that we wanted to achieve was to reduce the face-to-face training time, provide us with robust MI that could be accessed from a central point of view. that was primary in terms of what we did, but we also needed to make sure the platform and the interface was user-friendly and it was engaging for employees. Given that where we were, we'd never done anything like this before. A lot of our people were traditional and liked the traditional method, so introducing something, it needs to be easy to understand, easy to use and engaging. Given where we were at the time, when we looked at all the vendors, Digits came out on top in a number of things, and basically we just felt that once we'd met the team at Digits, that was one of the things that we looked for in terms of how we could work, in terms of the relationship we could build from there on. I do like the visual journey in terms of how it looks on the screen and how we can track it. Again, the interface that it uses, the fact that a lot of people have fed back some very positive comments about it. Some of the interface and the way it looks is really appealing, and using people's faces with speech bubbles really brings it to life. It took several months to implement from start to finish. However, we did incur some challenges along the way, but that was more down to our internal IT security framework in terms of how the systems were talking to each other. However, we worked tirelessly with Digits, our internal IT security team and internal IT operations team and our external gateway providers to overcome them challenges. So probably from when we really got into it, it took approximately six to 9 months from start to finish, including any challenges. But I must say that also included building content as well. So because one of the things that we engaged with Digits to do was build some content to go on that, which wasn't as part of the original specification when we just looked at bringing in an LMS. One of the challenges we looked at was in terms of putting content on there. We had the initial thought that we were going to do it in-house ourselves, but we very quickly realised that we didn't have the expertise and it would be better suited working with somebody like Digits to build that content. One of the other areas or obstacles that we had to overcome was the way the systems were interacting with each other. Digits worked tirelessly along with our internal IT people to overcome that, to make sure that the system worked as it should do for all users. The MI and the reporting elements we use the most within the LMS. That gives us an opportunity to plan ahead in terms of what training is required. We're heavily compliant with some of our regulators and our shareholder banks. Therefore, we have to demonstrate that we have a good handle on all the compliance training, etc., etc. So we rely very much on the reporting system that comes out. So whilst the e-learning and the journeys and everything else are really good and engaging for users, the one thing that we do get out of the system a lot is the MI that it produces for us to provide to our senior management team to ensure that it's on track. Managers in site also use this reporting to ensure that their own teams are training when they should be, and also it allows them to also manage that at a local level. Some of the features in the LMS are really good for us. We look at how we onboard people, and so we use the induction journey to onboard people and to ensure that they've got ample information before they join the company, and then on day one they're getting all the required training that they need in terms of compliance training, in terms of understanding our business in more depth, what working for Vaultex means and some of our core company values. In addition to that, we use the reporting system and the capabilities that provides us with to ensure all this training is managed within reasonable timescales, and then ongoing, a lot of our managers use it to help them plan training in the future in terms of when this has become available again, as we do a lot of our training on an annual basis. We're using the LMS and the configuration in the LMS to introduce polymer notes to all our employees. This is a significant change for our industry and the biggest that's happened in the last 40 to 50 years, where the Bank of England decided to introduce plastic notes into the UK economy. So we're using the LMS to ensure that people are aware of what those features and security features are. This has a commercial benefit to us so we can detect forgeries, but it also has a public benefit to all our employees as they will be handling these notes and they need to be aware of what them security features are. So we're going to use the LMS to bring that to the masses and track the fact that that's being completed. One way we've used the system of late is to introduce what we call a discrepancy handling module. We had the challenge that we had to deliver training to all our employees that were involved in managing discrepancies. As you can appreciate, as a business like ours, there's very much a procedural element to what we do. Therefore, we developed a discrepancy handling module which basically went to and was distributed to about 600 people across the business, which gave us a fantastic return on investment and meant that we didn't have people travelling to do this training. It was also meant that it could be delivered in a timely manner when people were new to the business, rather than wait for several months for someone to get there across the UK to deliver this training. The benefits we've seen since implementing the LMS through Digits is that we are much better at managing our training. From a compliance point of view, we're on track. We ensure that all our training is done in a timely manner and within certain time frames, both on an annual or 2-yearly basis. It's allowed us to track usage and also make sure that it's an opportunity and a platform to get training guides out to individuals who need them, to use it to basically educate some of our people around what they need to do from a process element point of view. So we've had some fantastic return on this investment in terms of cost saving, because it's reduced the time taken to deliver induction, plus given many other benefits of when they do this, and it can be done on a bit by bit approach as part of the journey, and also ensuring that there's a reduction in time and requirements for face-to-face training, which can be invested in other areas. The specific results we've seen is a reduction in cost. This has come about through reducing our classroom induction journey, allowing it to be done on a bit-by-bit approach. We've also reduced our costs in terms of face-to-face training for our compliance training that used to be delivered by a person, which is now delivered through the system. This has enabled us to reinvest that time elsewhere into other resources. So there's been many specific benefits, but also around the quality that we know that the training that they're receiving is delivered in a consistent way now. And that gives us assurance that the training that is actually being received by the employees within the business is all of the right quality. The metrics and MI we use within the system allows us to look at how much training has been completed. We tend to measure it by, as the training is being completed, through the assessments that we have built into the system. These assessments have set pass marks and that people have to attain before they can be deemed as competent or as trained successfully. So we tend to use that to look at who's received training and when, etc, etc. We also look at time taken to pass, so we look at usage within the system and time within the system in terms of the session duration reports, which gives us a really good idea of how much time is being spent on training. If we assume that a lot of our training is being done through the system, we can track usage in the system in terms of, and that will give us a good metric to ensure that the time that we're affording from a productivity versus training point of view is being used the way it should be. We've seen a lot of process improvements and productivity improvements since we launched the system and the add-ons that we've added into the system through the training. So we've got a much better handle in terms of the process training that we do through training guides, through theory assessments. Plus we've also seen a reduction in how long it takes for somebody to do their induction journey. We used to take 2 days classroom training, now we've got that down to about 8-9 hours, and that is delivered over a 5-day week, allowing people to do a couple of hours training and intertwine that with these practical training, meeting people within the business and so on and so on. In terms of how our customers benefit from the system that we're using, we are a great believer that our customers will benefit through the added training and compliance training that we do. Because we're measuring people on their knowledge of the processes that they're doing, this can only, in the long term, benefit the customer. We've also introduced a discrepancy handling module, which trains people when they come into the business in terms of how to manage discrepancies and what processes have to be followed. Again, this can have an impact on our end customer and ensure that they have confidence in our ability to manage their cash. The best thing about working with Digits has been the openness of the team. The challenges that we've had, we've always managed to overcome with their support. They're always open to suggest ideas and work with us in terms of what our requirements are, and then come up with solutions and engaging solutions to meet our needs. In summary, working with Digits has been a fantastic journey so far. We are into our 5th year with working with them. We've developed lots of material, and we've always found them to be very open and honest in the way they go about their business. This is really good for us because it's one of the key important things that we want in a supplier, to ensure that any challenges we have, we know together we can overcome them. So it's not to ensure that we get a win-win situation in terms of client and supplier relationship, which we believe is important for not just a short-term gain, but also a longer-term relationship, which helps us in the longer term. The advice I would give to an organisation implementing a similar solution is to do your research, know what you want, and talk to Digits. I believe that Digits can offer the solution you're looking for. However, you need to be certain what it is you're actually wanting from an LMS. I don't believe that there's an LMS out there on the market that can do more than what Digits LMS can offer you. In addition to that, think about your content, think about how you're going to use it, think about what MI you're going to want out of the system. Then draw up a plan, project plan, and make sure that you stick to that project plan for implementation. This has stood us in good stead when we first introduced the system into Vaultex, but it's also worked for us on many different projects that we've done with Digits in terms of implementing solutions to some of the ideas that we want to develop within the system.
Get in contact with us to find out how we can make learning brilliantly simple for you and your organisation.